Hello friends, welcome to my channel. Welcome to Daily Code Challenge. I'm so excited to be here and I hope you are as well. All right, so today we have another challenge to work on. Let's see what we have. Okay, so it says write a function reverb. So let's name this task reverb. Okay. All right, so it says write a function reverb that accepts a word as an argument. The function should return a new word where all letters that come after the last vowel, including the vowel itself, are repeated at the end of the word. If the value passed is not a string, say someone passes in a number as an argument, then return null. Okay, so typically what this means is that, for instance, we have running here as an argument, and the last vowel we have here in this string running is I, right? So what this is saying is that when we encounter this vowel, we need to return the entire string at first, then attach to the vowel itself and the rest of the string. So here we have running, then ing. Same goes to family, then ILY. That's what we have here. Here we also have trash with ASH, that's trash ash. Here we have dish and then we have ish. So this argument is not a string, so it's a number, therefore it returned null. All right, so what do we need to do here? We need to firstly write the function name, right? Then also we need to loop through every character. Then after when we've done that, we need to check if we need to check for the last occurrence of vowel in the string, right? We need to do that. And then after when we've done that, we need to return the complete string. Then attached to it is the sliced part of it. We are going to slice on where the last vowel is found. So we are going to be using the we are going to be using the slash function to achieve this, right? Okay, so let's just briefly see how the slice work before we move into the code implementation itself. All right, so for instance, we want to use the slash. Let's say we have a string called hello, then we say dot slice. Then inside the slice function, it accepts numbers, right? And here, if we want to return ELO, what we need to actually do is we need to know the index of E, right? And we have 0, 1. So the index of E is 1. Simply, we are going to put 1 here. So we are expecting that this should return ELLO. Let's console log this and then let's run it and see if we are going to get ELLO. All right, so we get ELLO. So this is what we are going to be using to attach the last occurrence of the vowel to the entire string itself. So we are going to be using the knowledge we just got using this slice during the code implementation, right? So let's move on. All right, so let's uncomment this and let's begin with our code implementation. So the first thing we do is we write the function keyword and then we write the function name, which is reverb, right? And also we change params to, let's call it string. Then we need to loop through each of the characters in the argument. So we use a for loop, we say for, then we change index to I, and then here we remove this line of code because we simply don't need it. Now let's console. Okay, we need to replace this array with the parameter here. So remove array, we call it str string. So let's check for something, right? Let I equals 0 simply means I want to start our loop from the first character, right? All through down to the last character in steps of 1, right? So let's be sure that that is what is happening. So let's console log I, or rather let's console log string I. String I represents each of the characters. let's just use one of the examples here. So we run this and we are expecting to get running, right? Let's run this and see if that's what we get. Okay, so that's what we get. We got running. All right, but in this case now, the instruction is this. It says the function should return a new word where all letters that come after the last vowel. So the key for us here is last vowel. How do we know the last vowel in this argument, right? That can be tricky actually, but it's very easy as well. So when you are starting your looping from the left, we really cannot tell the last vowel. But when we begin our looping from the right, we can know the last vowel. The last vowel is simply going to be the first occurrence of vowel in the string, and that's very, very simple, right? So the moment we just encounter the first vowel, we use the return statement, and the return is going to pick just this one. That's what the return does, right? Once the once the return statement, once it encounters a valid input, it breaks out of the loop at that spot, right? So that's what we are going to be doing. So we are simply going to remove this console log. Let's comment it, and then let's check for, okay, before we comment on this, let's see how we can reverse, right? Let's see how we can loop from the end of this string to the beginning. Here is what we are supposed to do. We are no longer going to start from here, but we are going to start from here, meaning we are going to take this out and then we place it here and put -1. So this represents the index, the last index. Then here, from the last index here, we want to stop at the first character or the first index, which is 0. So we say equal to, so we say greater than or equal to 0, right? And then here, we are no longer going to count forward, but count backwards. All right, so let's save this. Now, when we run this, instead of having running, we are going to having gninnur. Let's try that and see. Let's run this code to confirm that. Okay, so here we have gninnur. All right, now we are gradually coming to, we are gradually getting to the point where our code is making sense, right? So now what we need to do next is we want to be sure that a character we look through is a vowel, and here not just a vowel, right? You want to also check that is the first vowel, right? So what we want to do is we comment on this, and then we have to define a vowel, right? Using the const keyword, say const vowel equals a e I o u. Then here we come here to use the conditional statement. Therefore, we use the if statement for that. We say if, now if what? If vowel dot includes. Okay, so we've used this includes function in many challenges in this playlist, right? In some places, we also use the index of, right? So if you know how to use includes, use includes. If you know how to use the index of, use index of. You can actually use both to achieve the same thing. But in this case, we are going to be using includes, right? Because I just decided to use includes. We can still decide to use the index of, right? So I say includes string I. So what this line of code means is that we want to check if a character looping from the right to the left is a vowel, right? So that's what this means. And if it's a vowel, what do we want it to do? Let's console log that character. So let me just bring this console log down here. Let's console log the character and see. So here we are actually expecting to get I and then U, because we want to console log all of the vowels found, but it's going to start from I, then U, because we are starting from the right to the left. Let's run this and see. Okay, here we have I and U, right? Because we used console log. If we had used the return statement, it would have returned just I, right? Okay, so moving on, the next thing we need to do is we want to return this entire string first and then return the point where we have the last vowel and other characters after it, right? Okay, so let's remove this. Let's return string and see what we get. So let's return string. So string here is represent the entire string we have here, which of course is part of the returned results, right? So let's see what we get. We get running. So if I uncomment the rest of them, let's see what we get. Okay, we get running undefined trash. Okay, all right. So we are still on the right track. So after getting running, we also want ing to be attached to running. Therefore, we are going to concatenate. We just say plus string dot slice. Now, where do we want to slice? We want to slice on I. I represents it represents the index at which we get the first vowel, right? So let's run this and see if we are doing the right thing. Okay, here we can see we have running name just as it is here. Here we have trash ash just as it is here. Now you'll be wondering why we are having undefined here, and undefined here. Okay, so if you notice, running here is in lowercase, family here is in uppercase, trash here is in lowercase. That's why running and trash are properly returned. But the ones in uppercase like family and dish, they are not returned because the vowel we define here has only lowercase a, e, I, o, u, right? So you can just at this point add uppercase a, e, I, o, u so that these other ones too will be returned properly. All right, so doing that, let's run the code. Okay, so we have running in here. You can see here we have family ili. Yeah, so we have trash ash here, which is the same thing here. Here we have dish ish, which is also the same thing here. So here we have null. We have null here because the argument here is a number, right? And the instruction is this. It says if the value passed in is not a string, so any character that is not a string, right? Any data that is not a string, let's say someone passes in a number as an argument, it should return null. That's why this return null. How can we solve this? We simply come out of the for loop and return null. That means that everything outside the for loop should be null rather. So let's run this again. Oh, okay. You can see that here we have all all arguments, all code, all arguments properly was returned as expected. Here we have running in family ili, trash ash, dish ish, and null, which is what also what we have here. So I think we've been able to properly code this correctly, right? So I am simply going to remove this commented code to make the whole thing clean and neat. All right, so I believe with this we've learned one or two things, right? And if you found this video interesting, please give it a like, subscribe to this channel, Dev with Excel, and see you tomorrow, right? All right, have fun. Bye.